you for listening. And this is my thoughts on life and religion and whether a God exists or not. Let's start back at the beginning. The first thing we need to know is, what did they believe? We know for a fact they used to worship the sun as far as early man, and they were very superstitious, and some of those things still carry on today. So in order to continue this, we have to start with the earliest known writings. The earliest writings are from the Sumerians, who came around 3000 BCE, and they have a flood story and the Tower of Babel story. The Noah story looks like a copy, just told slightly different, and we can see most stories of most gods can be traced back to the Sumerians. The concept of Nephilim, for example, comes from the Sumerian tablets, and most of the Jesus miracles can be found in other beliefs, such as flying up to heaven after death. Many gods have those stories, and even non-gods, such as Caesar. Even walking on water is not original to Jesus, as we know gods like Orion also claimed to walk on water, and many other earlier than him. So let's look at the claim being made. A man in a book came back to life at a time where no one verified anything and were more superstitious than we are, and those people didn't even know what germs were. They thought the code was demons and epilepsy as well as other mental challenges. Thanks to science, we know what is wrong. So 2,000 years ago, a Jewish man died for us, but was actually God in an avatar who didn't write anything himself. He also didn't get written about until one whole generation or 30 years passed before anything was written down. But he died for me. He also came back to life. We're told to believe a man came back to life based on a book. So the thing is, most have not paid attention to Judaism and act like Jesus wasn't a practicing Jew. The way Jews bury their dead is very different from the Bible story. Women never put oil on the body and prepared men who have died. Their culture doesn't approve of it. Men buried men and women buried women. Somebody is lying. Last but not least is your personal experience. Science has all of that explained. As far as experiencing the Holy Spirit, that's your own mind having a self-created dopamine hit. Science has put people in labs and found that religious experience lights up the same spot of the brain as sex, gambling, and music. The one connection we can make with all of those is addiction to dopamine and nothing more. Science has also debunked prayer. There have been large studies of prayer, and it proved prayer works as good as chance. And even worse, some people got worse when they knew they were being prayed for. Prayer doesn't work. Near-death experiences of Jesus aren't proof either. Most gods are also seen in near-death experiences, such as Lord Krishna. To recap, there is no Holy Spirit because we have science that has proven it's just dopamine, and also prayer doesn't work. Lastly, what you feel in church is just dopamine, and you have no logical reason to connect it to God. In fact, no one has felt the power of God. It's not possible. I believe in a creator of some sort. I think that's the safest you can go. And lastly is geography. Again, science offers us a way to view culture and religion on the whole planet. And what we find is it's extremely hard to not follow the God of your country, and culture is determined by where you are born. For example, if you live in Japan, you will live and die a Buddhist or atheist, because Jesus is not part of your culture. Your parents aren't Christian and have no interest in Jesus. That's not their culture. Same for many other countries. What are the odds you were lucky enough to be born believing in the right God? Or if it's Christianity, it gets worse because now it's the right version of God. How about the Bible isn't from God at all? That's a safer bet, if you ask me. It's just a book that has been copied, and we believe it based on of what we felt in church, and we attribute it to God while not knowing the science of what is happening. Well, I say thank God for science. Speaking of science, there was an experiment done on people where they would zap a piece of someone's brain to induce a spiritual experience. And what do you know? It worked. It's called the God helmet. Many people saw their own God. Some saw relatives, some saw nothing. So if we can induce these experiences, what are the odds they came from a God? So in conclusion, no religious or holy book has the truth. They are all just stories in a book. This is the absolute truth, and I wish I was wrong. Thank you for listening.